You know the exact feeling I am talking about. It is a Friday afternoon. You are sitting at your desk, or maybe you are on your commute home, and a dark cloud is slowly forming over your head. You have plans tonight. You made these plans 2 weeks ago. At the time, they sounded fantastic. Dinner with friends, a concert, or maybe just a casual meetup for drinks. But now, the reality of the impending event is setting in. You are tired. You have had a long week. The thought of putting on real clothes, navigating traffic, and making small talk feels like an insurmountable mountain. You stare at your phone, silently bargaining with the universe. And then, it happens. The screen lights up with a text message. It is your friend. Hey, I am so sorry, but I am completely exhausted. Can we reschedule tonight? Instantly, a wave of profound, almost euphoric relief washes over you. The heavy weight lifts from your chest. Your evening suddenly stretches out before you, a blank canvas of glorious, uninterrupted free time. You type back, "Oh no, totally understand. Let's catch up soon." All while holding back a massive smile. But why does this happen? If we genuinely like our friends, and if human beings are inherently social creatures, why does canceling plans always feel like such a strange, potent relief? Why do we agree to things we ultimately do not want to do? And what is actually happening in our brains when those obligations disappear? Today, we are going to unpack the psychology of canceling plans, looking at why our past selves constantly sabotage our present selves, the cognitive toll of socializing, and when the joy of missing out crosses the line into something more concerning. To understand the relief of a canceled plan, we first have to understand why we made the plan in the first place. This brings us to a psychological concept known as affective forecasting. Affective forecasting is our ability, or rather, our profound inability, to predict how we will feel in the future. Psychologists have found that human beings are remarkably bad at anticipating their future emotional states. When you agree to a dinner party 2 weeks in advance, you are not thinking about that Friday with the mindset of the tired, overworked person you will likely be when Friday actually arrives. Instead, you are imagining a hypothetical, idealized version of yourself. This future self is well rested. This future self has infinite social battery. This future self has absolutely no laundry to do and is thrilled at the prospect of a busy restaurant at 8 o'clock at night. We suffer from what is called the empathy gap. Specifically, the hot-cold empathy gap. When we are in a cold state, relaxed on a Sunday afternoon, scrolling through our calendars, we cannot accurately empathize with the hot state we will be in after a grueling 40-hour work week. We overcommit because the cognitive cost of the event feels completely abstract. It is a problem for future you. But eventually, time catches up, and future you becomes present you. Suddenly, the abstract concept of a dinner party becomes a concrete reality of showering, getting dressed, and spending energy you simply do not have. When the plan is canceled, the relief you feel is the sudden, desperate pardoning of your present self from the unrealistic expectations set by your past self. But it is not just bad scheduling. There is a deep evolutionary reason we say yes to things we do not want to do. Human beings are fundamentally wired for connection. For our ancient ancestors, being cast out of the tribe meant certain death. You could not hunt, forage, or protect yourself alone. Therefore, our brains evolved to prioritize social cohesion above almost everything else. We developed a hypersensitivity to rejection and a strong desire to please the group. When someone asks you to do something, your brain processes a no as a potential threat to your social standing. Saying no feels like a risk. Will they be mad at me? Will they stop inviting me to things? Will I become isolated? To avoid this acute social anxiety, we say yes. We agree to the birthday dinner, the weekend trip, the networking event because the immediate relief of pleasing someone and maintaining the social bond outweighs the distant dread of actually having to attend the event. However, this creates a psychological debt. You bought immediate social harmony on credit, and the bill comes due on the night of the event. When the other person cancels, it is the ultimate loophole. You get to keep the social credit. You were willing to go after all, but you do not have to pay the cognitive cost. You avoided the risk of rejection without having to do the work. It is a psychological win-win, resulting in that massive spike of relief. We also need to talk about the actual cost of socializing, because it is much higher than we usually admit. When we think of social events, we often think of them as leisure. But from a neurological standpoint, socializing is work. It requires a tremendous amount of executive function and cognitive processing. Think about what your brain is doing during a simple conversation. You are actively listening, decoding body language, monitoring your own facial expressions, filtering your thoughts to ensure they are socially appropriate, maintaining eye contact, and recalling relevant information to keep the dialogue flowing. You are engaging in a subtle dance of mirroring and adapting to the emotional states of the people around you. For extroverts, this process can sometimes be stimulating, generating dopamine that makes them feel energized. But for introverts, and even for extroverts who are simply burned out, this process draws heavily on the brain's energy reserves. Every interaction drains a little bit of your cognitive battery. Furthermore, many of us engage in social masking. We put on a persona that is slightly more energetic, slightly more agreeable, or slightly more outgoing than we actually feel. Masking is incredibly taxing. When plans are canceled, the relief is deeply physiological. It is your brain realizing it no longer has to boot up all those complex social processing systems. The cognitive load drops to zero. You do not have to mask. You do not have to perform. You can just simply exist. Beyond cognitive load, there is another deeply rooted psychological need at play here: autonomy. According to self-determination theory, human well-being rests on three basic psychological needs: competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Autonomy is the feeling that you have control over your own life, your own choices, and your own time. When you make a plan, you are essentially surrendering a piece of your future autonomy. You are drawing a box around a Tuesday evening and saying, I am obligated to be at this specific place, doing this specific thing, with this specific person. Even if it is a fun thing, it is still an obligation. As the event approaches, that sense of obligation can start to feel like a trap. It restricts your freedom. When the plan is canceled, you experience a sudden, unexpected restoration of autonomy. That block of time is abruptly handed back to you. It is what psychologists sometimes call found time. Found time feels completely different from regular free time because it carries no expectations. If you had planned to stay home all along, you might feel pressure to be productive, to clean the house or do laundry or catch up on work. But canceled plan time is magical. It is a free pass. Because you were supposed to be busy, you are officially off the hook from all other responsibilities. You can sit on the couch and stare at the wall, and it feels like a glorious victory because you reclaimed your sovereignty over your own schedule. Up to this point, we have talked about the relief of canceling plans as a normal, natural, and highly relatable phenomenon. And for the vast majority of people, it is exactly that, a harmless quirk of human psychology. But it is crucial to recognize that this feeling has a dark side. When the relief of canceling becomes addictive, it can trap us in a cycle of avoidance that ultimately damages our mental health. This brings us to the psychological mechanism of negative reinforcement. In behavioral psychology, negative reinforcement occurs when a behavior is followed by the removal of an unpleasant stimulus, which makes that behavior more likely to happen again in the future. Let us apply this to social anxiety. Suppose you feel anxious about attending a party. The impending event is the unpleasant stimulus. It is causing you stress, a racing heart, and worry. If you cancel your plans, or if the plans get canceled for you, that anxiety instantly vanishes. The unpleasant stimulus is removed. You feel a massive wave of relief. The problem is that your brain is taking notes. Your brain learns social events equal danger and anxiety. Canceling equals safety and relief. This powerful negative reinforcement makes you far more likely to cancel the next time, and the time after that. You begin to crave the relief more than the connection. Over time, this avoidance shrinks your world. The less you socialize, the harder it becomes to socialize. The cognitive load of interacting with others feels heavier because you are out of practice. The anxiety surrounding social events grows larger, making the urge to cancel even stronger. What started as the occasional joy of missing out can slowly curdle into isolation, loneliness, and clinical depression. We are, after all, wired for connection. While our brains might desperately want to break from the work of socializing, prolonged isolation deprives us of the relatedness that self-determination theory identifies as a core human need. So, how do we navigate this? How do we enjoy the occasional canceled plan without becoming hermits? And how do we stop torturing our present selves with the overambitious promises of our past selves? The answer lies in bridging the empathy gap. We have to start making plans not for the idealized, energetic superhero we hope to be, but for the tired, normal human being we actually are. First, implement a mandatory pause. When someone invites you to do something, train yourself to never answer immediately. Say, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." This removes the immediate pressure of the social interaction, allowing you to step out of the hot state of wanting to please them and into a more rational state where you can evaluate the actual cost of the event. Second, ask yourself the tonight test. When considering a plan 2 weeks away, ask yourself, if this event were happening tonight, right now, would I want to go? If the answer is an immediate, visceral no, then do not schedule it for 2 weeks from now. You will likely feel the exact same way when that day arrives. Third, normalize low-stakes socializing. Not every plan needs to be a high-energy dinner or a crowded event. We often dread plans because of the environment, not the person. If you want to see a friend but lack the cognitive battery for a restaurant, suggest something easier. Invite them over for coffee, or suggest a walk in the park. Lower the barrier to entry for connection. Ultimately, the strange relief of a canceled plan is a perfectly normal human reaction. It is a testament to how busy our lives are, how much energy we expend navigating the social world, and how deeply we crave autonomy and rest. But connection is what gives life meaning. By learning to say no more honestly, by protecting our energy, and by making plans that actually align with our true capacity, we can reach a point where we actually look forward to our calendars, rather than praying for a cancellation text.